This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. Shalom Aleichem. We continue in the Iggeres HaRamban. As we mentioned yesterday, we now begin the fourth part of the Iggeres. Part 1 was the manner of acquiring humility. Part 2 was the gnus of gaiva. Part 3 are the modes of behavior of humility. And now we are up to part 4, which is dubbed Darchei HaAvodah, the manners of service of Hashem. Yesterday we learned 2 ingredients of it. Number 1, one should read the Torah always, and in a way where when one gets up from what they learned, they should search and investigate what could they fulfill. And the second thing is one should investigate their actions in the morning and the evening so that all of one's days are filled with teshuvah. So Torah and Shuvah. One's Torah should be lamaisa, what could one get out of it, and one should fill all their days with the mitzvah of Teshuvah. Now we begin with the Ramban's discussion of Tefilla. V'haser kol divrei ha'olam milibcha be'es ha'tefillah. Remove all matters of the world from your heart at the time of prayer. Now this is a very important ingredient, because if one is not able to clear their mind, at the very least one is able to put themselves in the best situation possible not to be distracted during their tefillah. And that is, the first ingredient in davening is to make sure you don't have a phone on you. Don't say you put it on vibrate. If you put your phone on vibrate and you daven, it might not even be called davening. And that's because the Sifri says that the definition of tefillah is ula avdoi b'chol levavchem, to serve God with all your heart. Which means one has to, at the very least, make an attempt to serve Hashem with all your heart. If you got a phone on you, and you're diverting your mind to every buzz, so then you've already made it clear that you have no intention of serving God with all your heart. You're giving Him about 25%, and the other 75% is dedicating to feeling the vibrating sensations of your phone. So if you want to have a fighting chance, even la'achar mea v'esrim shana, to at least tell God, look, I tried to daven, not sure if I was successful, the first ingredient is don't have a phone on you. You want to keep it off? Okay, better not even to have it on you. You don't have to think about it. Now there's a very interesting thing that is brought in the Talmidei Rabbeinu Yoina, quoted by Rav Goldberg and Brachos Lamed Amud Beis. And that is, the Gemara says, Chasidim Harishonim would delay 1 hour before their davening to be mechav in their heart to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Says Rabbeinu Yoina, it doesn't mean only that they would clear their minds from distractions. What that means is they would clear their mind from the pleasures of this world. In other words, in order to daven, it's not enough not to have distractions, but one, so to speak, has to clear their mind from the pleasures and desires of this world, as if all of that is not worth anything. It's not important. That's sort of a preparatory focus that one should have before davening. By the way, the Nefesh HaChaim likewise says that the first kavanah to have before davening is to clear your mind from the distractions. But number 2, to sort of uproot from your heart the tanugei olam, until in your mind what's valuable is only shamayim, only HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And here the Ramban tells us that one should remove all distractions during tefillah, v'hachein libcha lifnei hamakom Baruch Hu, and prepare your heart before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rav Goldberg learns that these 2 phrases refer to these 2 important elements of preparation. Number 1, to clear your mind from distractions, and number 2, to divest yourself of desires for this world. Now, v'chashoiv hadibur koidem shetoitzienu mipicha. Think about your words before you emit them. Simply, the Ramban is saying, think about the words of tefillah that you say before you emit them. Now, the Perush MS Oyhel Yaakov understands that this is talking about before you say the words of tefillah, you should think about the meaning of the words. the Rav Goldberg in Ois Ayin Daled quotes an important idea that is brought by the Chafetz Chaim in the end of the Sefer Shem Olam, and I heard this once from a Rav Yitzchak Izbi Zechat Tzaddik Davracha, that it's worthwhile before each bracha of Shemoneh Esrei to sort of pause and prepare yourself and say, okay, I'm about to do the following. For instance, before the first bracha of Shemoneh Esrei, you should think, I'm about to praise Hashem, who had a special relationship with the Avos and protected Avraham. Then before the second bracha, you should think, okay, I'm about to thank Hashem for Tchias HaMesim. Number 3, you should think, okay, I'm about to praise Hashem for His sanctity. Number 4, I'm about to acknowledge that intellect comes from Hashem, and I'm about to pray to Hashem to grant me greater heights in understanding. And so on and so forth. Says the Chafetz Chaim, it doesn't have to take a lot of time. It's just literally a sha'ah, it's literally a rega, literally sha'achas, because what it does is, instead of just running through, you have a moment to pause, okay, I'm about to do this, and it just allows you to focus on the task at hand to a much greater extent. So this is along the lines that the Ramban is saying. One should think about the words that he emits before, the words of Tefillah before he says them. And so you should do all of the days of your life, b'chol davar v'davar, in every matter, v'loi techta, and you won't sin. Now, the Ramban says, "V'zeh yil divarecha u'ma'asecha u'machshavoisecha yisharim." And if you do that, if you think about not only the meaning of the words of your prayer, but if you think about the value of everything you do, whether it's something you do, something you say, something you think, then all your words, all your actions, all your thoughts will be yesharim, will be on the straight and narrow. And utfilascha tia zaka ubara unikia umechuvenes. Your prayer will then be pure, clear, clean, focused, and accepted l'fnei hamakom baruch hu. Shenemar tachin libam, they prepare their heart, takshiv oznecha, and your ear hears. So I just read the Ramban, the simple way to understand the Ramban. That when the Ramban says you should think about your words before you emit them, he's referring to the words of Tefillah. And then his conclusion is you should think about everything you do. And then your prayer will be clear. In other words, don't just think about the meaning of the words of Tefillah you say, but think about the meaning of all the words that you say. And it almost seems like that in order to have a clear prayer, it's not enough just to think about the meaning of the words of Tefillah, but rather, in order for your Tefillah to be clear and pure, you need to think about all the words you say. Now, why does thinking about the general words you say make your Tefillah clearer? So the Rav Goldberg quotes an amazing comment of the Orcha of the Makar Chaim, a Perush on the Orchas Chaim of the Rosh, that he brings from Reb Chaim Vital in the Shara Kedusha, that a great remedy and a great segula to daven with kavana, he says most distraction in tefillah comes from excessive nonsense, dvarim betelim that are in your heart. So shtika, silence, guarding your mouth from speaking nonsense or extraneous words, is a great geder for your shamayim and for kavanah and tefillah. In other words, it might not help. You could have an art scroll siddur and follow along the translation of each word. That's not going to cut it to make your tefillah pure. What will make the tefillah pure is if you have an accounting where the words that you say, the conversations you say are measured. You don't just chatter and spew nonsense, but you're measured in the words that you say. If someone is careful in the words that he said, then he has less dvarim betelim floating around in his mind. He'll be able to daven clearer. Well, in that case, maybe we could go back and read the Ramban in a little bit of a novel way. When the Ramban said originally, the chashoiv hadibur koidem shetotzienu mipicha, think about your words before you emit them, the Ramban doesn't just mean the words of tefillah. There in that line he means, think about all the words you say before you emit them. And you should do so in everything you do. Not just your words, but all your activities and all your thoughts and all your dealings, you should give them thought. And if you do that, if everything you do is preceded by an element of thought, all your words, actions, and thoughts will be yesharim, and your tefillah will be clear, pure, clean, focused, and accepted by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, we're closing in on the end of the Iggeres HaRamban, and Bez Hashem will pick it up tomorrow. Good to see everybody. Shalom Aleichem, and we'll see you tomorrow. Kol Tov, have a great day. How are you, Rabbi Yossi? What's doing? Okay. Kol Tov, bye-bye.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.